What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sandy Chi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. President Lai Ching-te has apologized to a family of a labor ministry worker whose suicide has been linked to suspected workplace harassment. It's a scandal that has led to the resignation and appointment for a new labor minister. Chris Gorin has the story.
President Lai Ching-te has become the highest-level politician to apologize to the family of a Labor Department staffer who died by suicide after being overworked and reportedly bullied by his superior.
首先，我要再度向日前离世的劳动部同仁表达哀悼以及不舍，向家属道歉，严查严办，还给离世同仁以及家属一个公道。
It's the latest apology in a scandal that has seen the resignation of the labor minister, He Pei-shan, as well as apologies from a former labor minister, the country's premier, and the person accused of bullying the staffer.
也非常的自责，也深切的检讨，因为个人的言行、领导方式、管理方式、沟通方式及跟别人互动的模式所造成这样悲痛的事情。
The scandal stems from the suicide of a Labor Department worker whose body was found inside a government building on November 4th. The death was attributed to overwork and abusive behavior in the workplace. Democratic Progressive Party legislator Hong Shen-han has been named the new labor minister. Hong is known for his concern for labor and environmental issues. A government spokesperson says the new appointment is committed to building a safe workplace environment, a sentiment echoed by the president.
霸凌是公司单位都要面对的严肃事情，中央政府要以身作则。
Lawmakers from different parties say they will continue to look into the case and other issues around safety in the workplace. With a new appointment at the ministry, officials and lawmakers hope changes can be made and lessons learned from the tragedy. Fu Huahong and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
Former Taiwan President Tsai is urging the Taiwanese community in Canada to continue supporting the country's bid to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP. Tsai is in Canada to attend a security forum. She was speaking at an event in Toronto organized by the local Taiwanese community. The former president said Taiwan has been a key player in the global supply chain. She also said joining a CPTPP would let Taiwan collaborate with more partners and boost regional prosperity. At the COP29 Climate Summit in Azerbaijan, wealthy countries have agreed to raise their offer for annual climate funding to $300 billion per year by 2035. That's after a $250 billion proposal was criticized by developing countries as being insultingly low. The new commitment triples the previous pledge of $100 billion in annual funding to poorer nations, which expires next year. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has made further cabinet nominations, including for the Treasury and the Department of Labor. Hedge fund manager Scott Bessent has been tapped for Treasury Secretary. Bessent has been an advocate of tax reform and deregulation. Trump's pick for the department has been closely watched by investors, concerned about how his tariff plan may impact trade. Trump also named outgoing Oregon Congresswoman Lori Chavez DeRemer for Labor Secretary. Unusually for a Republican, she had the backing of some unions as she sought re-election to the House, but ended up narrowly losing her seat. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says the Indo-Pacific region is America's priority theater as he makes a historic visit to the Pacific island nation of Fiji.
You know, the Indo-Pacific is our priority theater, and strengthening our partnerships with Fiji and other Pacific Island countries is vital to a free and open Indo-Pacific.
Austin and Fiji's Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka announced a number of new security initiatives. These include an agreement on managing military personnel operating in foreign territories. Austin said there is no plan for a permanent U.S. military base in Fiji. The visit comes as the U.S. works to improve relations with Pacific Island nations amid tensions with China. Beijing is also working to increase its influence in the region through aid and security deals. Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country will keep testing a new type of hypersonic missile it calls Oreshnik after firing one at Ukraine on Thursday.
Добавлю, что противодействия такой ракете, средств ее перехвата на сегодняшний день в мире нет, не существует. И еще раз подчеркну, испытания новейшей системы мы будем продолжать.
In a televised speech, Putin said no one else in the world has a weapon like this missile yet, and said it traveled at 10 times the speed of sound. Russia's use of the missile comes after Ukraine began firing US and British-made missiles into Russia for the first time. In response, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is calling on allies to help bolster his country's air defenses. An innovative exhibition that combines music and dance, art and technology to spread a vital message has opened in Taipei. Let's take a look. Channeling intense emotions through the piano, Lu Jiahui has curated an exhibition in Taipei to share a message with the world, what she describes as an immersive performance exhibition called Hope, Peace, Love.
我们看一下欧洲，它的那个战事未息，然后我们亚洲又有军事的紧张，所以我们感受到战争正在残害人类的生命、文化跟古迹，所以我们希望透过音乐、美术、无国界的力量，然后我们要传达我们的 message 出去，能够有一点善念跟正能量的循环回来。
The exhibition underwent months of planning and incorporates 7 different fields, including culture, music, dance, theater, and technology.
它其实就像女人怀孕10月才有办法生产，那她可能过程中还可能会流产，或者是她连受孕都有困难，所以我觉得每一次的创作跟跨界都是一个 challenge.
Other than working with talent from different fields, the audience plays a vital part in making Hope, Peace, Love a success.
我觉得我们台湾现在面临一个很危险的危机四伏的时刻，所以我就在我的那个钢琴附近，就是用蜡烛围成台湾岛，我们会有一个互动的仪式，会请所有的观众朋友加入我们来做一个默祷，为世界、为和平、为自己的祈祷。
The exhibition is open to the public on weekends through the end of the month. Its message, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope, peace, and love can still be found. Klein Wong and Sunny Chi for TaiwanPlus. Taiwan's unemployment rate last month stood at just under 3.4%. It's the lowest level for October in 24 years. The figure was fractionally down on September's number. And officials said town's labor market is moving in a positive direction. They said unemployment is expected to drop further in November and December as consumption reaches a peak at the end of the year. By comparison, unemployment in the US was at 4.1% in October, 6.5% in Canada, and 2.7% in South Korea. The Freedom Crossing Film Festival is opening at the Penn Museum in Philadelphia. It's an event supporting independent films and documentaries from Taiwan. To find out more about the works involved, I sat down with curator Minghua Xiao. Minghua, can you tell us about the origin of the festival? How did it all start?
The film festival, Freedom Crossing Film Festival, was started during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, we all have a deep concern about this full crisis of the whole humanity. And at that time, we were thinking about what we can do to help people to deliver their free spirit to reach out outside of the world when everybody was forced to stay inside. So at that time, we were thinking the spirit of freedom at that critical moment is the most important thing. So I started to create and curating the themes of life and death. And luckily, I find there are a lot of good documentaries and films in Taiwan that happen to care about those issues, about people's life. So I bring them over to the film festival. We totally bring 5 themes and 21 films. and they all made in Taiwan by the Taiwanese directors and the Taiwanese producers.
Among all the films featured at the festival, there is Untold Her Story. What makes this film special?
There are not too many stories about white terror area in Taiwan, and this one is definitely a significant one. Especially the films address the female experience for the prisoners in Green Island during the 1950s to 1970s. And this period of time is a very special time when Taiwan was under authoritarian government, and there were a lot of people who lose their freedom if they try to express their rights, their opinions, or if they were acting something disobeying the government's order. So Taiwan had experienced such a dark time, and then we overcome this history and transform our country to a liberal democracy. And right now we are confident enough to look back to the history at that time and to reflect that history through the individual and the personal experience, and to see those women as a person, not as a criminals or the prisoner.
You can watch a full interview with Minghua Xiao on Zoom and Zoom Out here on TaiwanPlus. Nearly 150 years ago, a Scottish photographer captured image of indigenous people in a remote valley in southern Taiwan. Today, his work is helping their descendants retrace their heritage and exposing a nearly forgotten culture. Billy Wu has more.
A century-old photograph reveals how Huang Zhaoying's ancestors lived. These images of Taiwan's indigenous Pingpu peoples were taken by Scottish photographer John Thompson. Now, nearly 150 years later, the descendants of the people in the images are using land to reconnect with their past.
这就是那个皇家的小儿子汤姆森的记载里面，他有写说，这个皇家的小儿子呢，就是很活泼，然后在他隔天就是他带着他们去老龙溪谷去捕鱼。
Huang Zhaoying is a descendant of the family in these photos. She is a community guide in Lao Nong Valley in Kaohsiung in Taiwan South. As a member of the indigenous Pingpu community, she is on a personal mission to reclaim her heritage before it fades away. Indigenous Pingpu groups settle in Taiwan's western and southern plains and coastal areas. They have long-established cultural and social practices which blend traditional beliefs with influences from settlers. And Lao Nong Valley in Kaohsiung was once one of their major settlements. But over time, their culture has faded. Now, local elders are working to preserve their history by sharing their knowledge of the plants and resources their ancestors once relied on.
这个是老虎面目，叫我叫做保养。较早人无够养的时阵，就摕这来做代替。 啊，保养着伊啊，分相册的时阵，阮就会甲错转来，两支啊小拄安尼，就是当压茶。
But it's not just the land they're reconnecting with. The community sings the chants and songs passed down from their ancestors, believed to be gifts from the gods themselves. They hope to revive these ancient traditions and pass them on to future generations.
那一直到前几年，我们再把文字档 跟音档做比对，再把它找出来，到底它是怎么唱的，啊，再教这边的族人，去唱。
The Pingpu people's culture is on the verge of disappearing across Taiwan, but their descendants are still fighting. For them, this revival is more than remembering. It's a way to pass on their culture to generations yet to come. Scott Huang and Billy Wu for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, come with us to Cuba for the 15th Havana Art Biennial. I'm Sunny Chi. Take care and see you next time.